During the Cold War, the United States faced a terrifying possibility. If a war with the Soviet Union ever began, the first hours would decide everything. Nuclear missiles, bombers, and defense systems would activate almost instantly. Any aircraft attempting to enter enemy airspace would face one of the most advanced radar networks ever built. For decades, bombers had been the backbone of nuclear deterrence. Massive aircraft like the B-52 Stratofortress were capable of carrying enormous payloads across continents. But by the 1970s, military planners realized something dangerous. These aircraft were becoming easier to detect. Soviet radar systems were improving rapidly. Surface-to-air missiles could track targets hundreds of kilometers away. Even high-altitude bombers were no longer safe. The United States needed something radically different. An aircraft that could fly directly into the most heavily defended airspace on Earth and never be seen. This idea led to one of the most secretive military projects ever attempted, the creation of the Northrop B-2 Spirit. Unlike traditional aircraft, the B-2 did not look like a plane at all. There was no tail, no vertical stabilizer, no conventional fuselage. Instead, the aircraft was shaped like a massive flying wing. The design was smooth, curved, and strangely organic, resembling something more like a spacecraft than a bomber. But this unusual shape served a specific purpose. Radar works by sending radio waves into the sky and measuring the signals that bounce back. Most aircraft reflect these signals easily. Wings, tails, and engines create strong radar signatures. The B-2 was designed to avoid that completely. Its flying wing shape minimized surfaces that could reflect radar waves directly back to their source. The engines were buried deep inside the aircraft to hide their heat signature. Special radar-absorbing materials coated the exterior. The goal was simple: make the aircraft appear so small on radar that it would blend into background noise. Developing such an aircraft was incredibly difficult. The project was led by Northrop Corporation, a company that had experimented with flying wing designs decades earlier. But building a stealth bomber of this size required solving problems engineers had never faced before. Without a traditional tail, the aircraft was naturally unstable. Early flying wing concepts had failed because pilots simply couldn't control them effectively. The solution came from an unexpected place: computers. The B-2 became one of the first large aircraft to rely heavily on digital flight control systems. These computers constantly adjusted the aircraft's control surfaces hundreds of times per second, keeping the bomber stable in flight. In many ways, the aircraft was flying itself. The project remained highly classified throughout the 1980s, even inside the U.S. government. Only a small number of officials knew the true scale of the program, and the scale was enormous. Each aircraft would eventually cost over $2 billion, making it one of the most expensive aircraft ever built. When the B-2 was finally revealed to the public in 1988, it looked unlike anything anyone had seen before. The dark, triangular aircraft seemed almost unreal as it rolled out of its hangar. But its true capabilities were revealed years later. In 1999, during the Kosovo War, the B-2 was used in combat for the first time. Flying directly from the United States, The bombers crossed the Atlantic Ocean and struck targets in Serbia. These missions lasted more than 30 hours, making them some of the longest combat flights ever conducted. Despite flying through defended airspace, the aircraft remained extremely difficult to detect. Precision-guided weapons allowed a single bomber to destroy multiple strategic targets in one mission. What once required dozens of aircraft could now be accomplished by just one. The B-2 represented a fundamental shift in military strategy. Instead of overwhelming defenses with numbers, stealth allowed a small number of aircraft to quietly penetrate enemy territory, but secrecy still surrounds much of the aircraft's true capability. Even today, many technical details remain classified. Only 21 B-2 bombers were ever built. Each one represents decades of research, billions of dollars in development, and one of the most ambitious engineering projects in aviation history. The aircraft doesn't rely on speed. It doesn't rely on heavy armor. Its greatest weapon is something far more unusual: the ability to fly through the most defended skies in the world and remain almost invisible.